The city lights blinked through the rain, painting the wet pavement in shades of gold and blue. Inside a small cafe at the corner of Maple Street sat Liam, staring blankly at his phone screen. His best friend Ryan had just posted a photo, a smiling face, an ocean view, and a caption that read, "Living my dream." Liam's thumb hovered over the like button, but something inside him tightened. It wasn't jealousy exactly, it was something heavier, something quieter, a whisper that said, "You're behind. You're not enough." He sighed, locked his phone and looked at his reflection in the window. Same old face, same old job, same old questions that had no answers. Liam worked as a freelance designer. Some days he loved it, the freedom, the creativity. Other days it felt like he was just floating, watching others race past him. He'd scroll through social media and see people his age buying houses, travelling to new countries, getting promotions, or even getting married. Meanwhile, his small apartment was filled with unpaid bills, unfinished work, and the silence of his own thoughts. Every time he saw someone else succeed, it was like a small voice whispered again, "They're doing better than you. You're falling behind. You should be more." And the worst part, he started believing it. One rainy afternoon, as Liam sat in his usual corner at the cafe, an older man entered, grey hair, wrinkled hands, and eyes that looked like they had seen many seasons of life. The man ordered tea, then noticed Liam's sketchpad on the table. "You draw?" he asked with a warm smile. Liam nodded. "I try to. For work, mostly." The man leaned closer. "Then you must love it." Liam paused, unsure how to respond. "I used to, but lately, it just feels like I'm not good enough. Everyone out there seems to be doing better. I feel stuck." The man smiled softly. "Ah," he said, "the old trap of comparison. The thief of peace." Liam chuckled bitterly. "Yeah, I guess so. But it's hard not to compare when you see everyone moving forward and you're just standing still." The man sipped his tea. "Let me tell you something, son. I once had a garden full of different flowers. Roses, daisies, and lilies. One day, I noticed the lilies weren't growing as tall as the roses, so I tried to make them grow faster, more sunlight, more water. But you know what happened?" Liam shook his head. "They withered," the man said, "because lilies were never meant to grow like roses. They bloom differently, in their own time." He leaned back, eyes gentle. "The world will tell you to race, to chase, to compare. But real growth is quiet, personal, and often unseen. A rose doesn't envy a daisy. It just blooms." That night, Liam went home and stood in front of his mirror. He looked at himself for a long time, really looked. Not through the lens of comparison, not through someone else's success, but through his own eyes. He saw a man who had tried, a man who had fallen and still gotten back up, a man who had spent nights sketching ideas that no one applauded, but that still came from his heart. He whispered to his reflection, "You're not behind, you're just growing differently." And for the first time in months, he smiled. Liam began making small changes. He unfollowed accounts that made him feel small. He started journaling, not about what he lacked, but about what he was grateful for. He wrote down moments of progress, no matter how small. Finished a client project today. Took a walk instead of scrolling. Felt proud of my work. He began to see that growth wasn't about speed. It was about direction. And slowly, something inside him shifted. He realized that the world loves to measure everything. Followers, likes, income, awards. But none of those could measure peace, kindness, or self-worth. He started drawing again, not for clients, not for approval, but for himself. Each sketch became a small act of healing, a reminder that his value didn't depend on anyone else's timeline. A few months later, Liam decided to take a short trip to the mountains. It was something he'd always postponed because it didn't seem productive. He hiked up a trail one morning, the air cool and thin, the world below disappearing in clouds. As he reached the top, he looked around, tall trees, uneven rocks, and wildflowers scattered like paint across the earth. He noticed something beautiful. Not a single tree looked the same. Some were tall, some twisted, some broken, but still standing strong. It struck him then. Nature never compares itself. The mountain didn't wish to be the ocean. The pine didn't envy the oak. Everything simply existed, fully, wholly, without apology. He sat on a rock, closed his eyes, and felt a deep calm wash over him. Maybe that's what peace really is. Not achieving more, but learning to be more. When Liam returned home, he decided to write a letter, not to anyone else, but to himself. He wrote, "Dear me, you've spent too long believing you're not enough. You've measured your worth with someone else's ruler. You've chased approval instead of purpose. But today, I want you to know something. You're not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. Everyone's journey unfolds differently. Some bloom early, some bloom late, but every bloom has its beauty. You don't have to compare to grow. You just have to keep moving, even slowly. You just have to be kind to yourself. You just have to keep showing up. You're enough, even when the world tells you you're not." He folded the letter and placed it inside his sketchbook. That day, something in him changed for good. 6 months passed. Liam's life didn't suddenly transform. There were still struggles, still bills, still doubts. But there was also peace. He started posting his drawings online again, not for likes, but to share something meaningful. His posts were honest, raw, and imperfect. And to his surprise, people began connecting with them deeply. One day, a comment appeared under one of his sketches. "I was feeling lost. Your words helped me today." "Thank you." Liam smiled, not because of the compliment, but because he realized something profound. When you stop comparing, you start connecting. When you stop chasing perfection, you start creating meaning. And when you learn to love your path, it begins to shine in ways you never expected. Comparison is not evil, it's human. It reminds us that we care, that we have dreams. But when it turns into a measure of worth, it steals joy from the present. We forget that every person we compare ourselves to is fighting their own invisible battles. The friend with the perfect life may cry at night. The colleague with the dream job may feel trapped. The influencer with the smile may be lonely. No one's life is as flawless as it looks. Everyone is growing at their own pace. Quietly, imperfectly, beautifully. One evening, Liam returned to the cafe where it had all started. The same table, the same rain outside. He looked around and noticed someone sitting alone, staring at their phone, sighing softly, the same way he once did. Without thinking, he smiled and walked over. "Hey," he said kindly, "are you okay?" The person looked up, surprised. "Yeah, just feeling behind in life, I guess." Liam smiled gently. "Can I tell you something?" And he repeated the old man's words, the same words that had once changed his life. A rose doesn't envy a daisy. It just blooms. We compare because we forget who we are. We measure ourselves with borrowed standards. But your worth isn't in your achievements, your possessions, or your timeline. It's in your effort, your resilience, your heart. The next time you feel behind, remember, you're not late. You're not less. You're simply becoming. And one day, when you finally bloom, you'll realize that you were never competing with anyone at all. You were just learning how to be you